Hey there, crew. It's Mark from Men Who Bullet. Thanks for coming to hang out with me today as we flip through bullet journal number 5 for me. This is a very, very special notebook because this was my very first Archer and Olive notebook. This right here is what started the whole collection. I actually am a big fan of this notebook because this is where I really started to have a lot of fun inside of my bullet journal. Now that I had those thicker pages, I was moving away from those Ghostines and those Leuchtturm 1917s way back in the day before they switched to the 120 GSM paper, which I love so much now. This really kind of opened up my creativity. So I'm excited to run through this with you. This is going to take us from November of 2019 through July of 2020. So a lot of good stuff inside of here. A lot of interesting stuff inside of here, to be honest with you, too. So let's go ahead and get into it. This is such an important notebook in my journey with bullet journaling because this is my first Archer and Olive notebook, as I mentioned. I remember being in a chat with Bonnie, and she was just kind of really getting things rolling with Archer and Olive, and she was offering anyone who wanted to try her notebook in the chat, and I felt so honored to do that. So I took her up on the offer. I went with one of the dark blue or the navy blue, nothing on the front, no foil print, anything like that. I did go for the 192 pages because at that point it was coming from Leuchtturm, and they have like 250 pages, and I really felt like I wasn't going to get what I needed out of it, so I just went for the max, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So in the front of my pages, before I did my cheat sheets, I used to just put down how many squares were across the page. So this is a 160 dot grid notebook, 26 squares across the front, 26 squares across the top, 38 squares down. I count squares instead of dots because that's what I actually use. Had to set up my own index for the first time, so I very much mimicked what was inside of the Leuchtturm, just keeping the pages and the topics here. This worked out pretty well for me. Future log, pretty run-of-the-mill, just created that 6-month overview and used it, I think, really well. My first monthly overview page inside of here, I went a little crazy with it. It looks a lot more involved than it actually is. It's just a bunch of horizontal lines and vertical lines to separate things out, but it gives it this interesting kind of looking grid overview. I liked it. I'll be honest with you. I probably should come back to using these more often because it's a great overview look. My first spread inside of here, I was really into stamps at the time, so I started using them more and more. I was also excited for the fact that I could use stamps in this notebook. Coming from the Leuchtturms, there was so much ghosting in those old ones because they were only like 80 GSM pages to 160 GSM. Yes, please. Use stamps all the time. You're going to see a ton of those in here. But I like this spread. It was just using these little pinpointers, use the center for some dates, had an overview on the outside, and then all of my notes in the center. I really love this. Good space saver. Just a bunch of one-on-ones I wanted to show you inside of here. Nothing fancy, just a real quick header, done and done. A lot of my headers actually are pretty basic, at least in the beginnings of this, because I was migrating from one notebook to the next. So real quick brush pen and then just running over top of that with a fine liner, and that was my header, and then I just wrote my notes from there, so it wasn't anything too crazy. I do get a little bit more exciting as we go further inside of here, but just wanted to show you that it's not all bells and whistles. Sometimes it's straight functionality. I love this one a lot. This is actually one of my favorite spreads in this notebook because I did a little bit of visual note taking, a lot of good information pulled from here. I was using some lettering and creating some small boxes and helping me out. And I honestly come back to this page often. There's a lot of really good information from that talk. This one here is just kind of a very crazy overview. This is where I start to get a little bit nutty, especially whenever I get new stamps. I want to use them right away. So a lot of stamp usage inside of here. I just think I was really excited for the fact that I could use stamps and it wasn't going to bleed through or ghost very much on my page. It was very exciting. Next spread for November inside of here, again, another big overview here, continuing with that water tracker that I only used for the first day. I definitely drank water after this. I just didn't. I like the way this looks, though, nice and compact and cool. I will open these notebooks a lot and be like, should I try that again? I've definitely done this since. And then just really just notes from there. Who knows what tracker that was for? I only did it till Tuesday. I got busy. Planning meetings, again, just a whole lot of notes that are happening in here. Try to get fancy with the December spread and make a little Santa Claus looking guy. I don't know if that was really necessary, but he's here. I did try to do a little bit more of a standard monthly overview and then split it out between home and work. And I really like the way that this worked out. I think it was a really good way to utilize the page, utilize this for tracking what was coming up and tracking what's personal, what's at work, and keeping that separate in some way. What was I doing here? More overviews across the top with a crap ton of notes down below. I think I tried to get fancy with some shiny stuff, maybe some watercolor or something with those light bulbs. Oh my goodness. Instagram trackers, I love doing these so much.
This was early on. I had just made it to 12,000, I guess. And by the time I was done with this notebook, I was stuck there. I don't think I made it much further, so nothing else got filled in. I kind of want to come back and like fill it in up to 20, which was my max here, but it didn't. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to, it's a nice little like at this moment in time, 2019 to 2020, this is where I was. Oh, the good old different doodles. I sometimes miss the doodle challenges since we ended those. A little bit more of a minimalistic, but still very similar overview across the top with notes down a lot of these spreads. It's interesting for me when I get into different type of trends that I kind of just keep using it because it works. So I keep it going with just changing it up just a little bit. Then I did a total change here, went with an overview on the left-hand side of the page, just a few little lines here, and then really left a ton of space for task and notes. This is very similar to how I work now and probably will work again when I'm coming back to an A5 size notebook. Another different doodle challenge here with some lettering as we got into the beginning of the year. Real minimalist. I must have really just had maybe 2 days this week. It must have been because this was New Year, so it must have been the beginning of the year here. So it was only 2 days. Yeah, the second and the third, that was it. And then this was a cool spread that I did. This is a way for me to try to understand all of the meetings that I had on my plate at the time. So I created a big calendar each day of the week, what was recurring, what was happening, when was it happening, just to give a really broad overview of what was going on. And this was super helpful for me because I could really understand what was overlapping, what do I need to attend, what don't I need to attend, and then how would I best use it. Some more notes. Visual note taking. I love this one. I use camera check feedback a lot, honestly. If you're not familiar with it, it is a really great way to give feedback, whether it's to people in your life or people at work. It's just the idea of framing up what's happening. So it's like taking a picture. What day and time did that happen? What was the specific behavior that was wrong? What impact does it have? How might we come up with a solution? What's our outcome? And then really just an approach to providing feedback so people don't feel as if they're being bombarded or accused. Instead, you're being very specific with feedback. And this has been helpful for me ever since taking that note. I love that page. We've got a big old overview page. What was I doing here? Left-hand side, getting crazy with some more stamps. I love stamps so much. I have no shame in it at all. We did a really odd kind of like block here. It worked out. Get it done. I love these pages when there's just a bunch of stuff on it and it's all crossed off. Yes, please. Notes. We've got some retro notes here. Ooh, here's a nice big spread. This one's super fun. Using the inside margin for that overview, keeping all of the notes and tasks on the outside of this. I love the way that these look when they get crazy like this. This makes me feel very productive and happy when I see those. Get another left-hand note. I'm assuming that these are stamps. I can't draw circles like that. Notes. What do we got here? Oh, another kind of visual note taking. You can see this kind of, I was big into this at this point. So this was called Switch, Direct the Rider, Motivate the Elephant, Shape the Path. This is our leadership program that I was taking. So it was a bunch of notes. So just really helpful to open this up and be like, yeah, I can understand this relatively easily and bring it back to myself and my team. Some more notes for that conversation. So this is just ongoing probably for a few days. I got some new stamps. You can always tell when I get new stamps because I go all out. So these are some cool looking gear ones that I got. Overview here, notes all here. And then I tried to use some type of a textured stamp here. That looks so busy. I can't even read what's inside of here. My eyes are going crazy. All of this I get though. I love when it looks like that. All right, I will forever remember this spread. This one makes me laugh. So I am terrified of cutting out paper from a journal. I always have been. It is just something that I don't love. Whenever I do a Dutch door, I like fold the page instead of cutting it. This was my attempt at trying to do a Dutch door, but still feeling nervous about it. So I had gotten the new stamps. I got these cute little dogs with bow ties on. So I set up a weekly and my trackers over here, did all my notes down below, and then I was going to have that overview up top here. Oh, I did use some stickers here too for those letters. I think it looks very cool, but it was not very helpful. Either that week I wasn't really in my journal. Something else must have been going on. But I mean, they're cute and all, but again, what was the purpose here? Like, why were we doing this? I don't know. And I'm guessing this was a stamp here, maybe. Looks like it. So, started off strong, ended weak. Another overview. Sometimes I really do question my design choices. So I had some type of stamp. It was with some not great ink, obviously. It's so much feathering inside of there. And then I just like put stuff on the page and I think it looks cool. And then I get it and I'm like, ew, looking back on it now, that was a bad idea. All right, more of a basic overview. Going back to the basic, just some pens. So we've got big, long overviews here on the left-hand side with our notes. Another busy but productive week. Overview across the top. Notes here at the bottom. I obviously like the way that this was going because I keep it up. Just altering how I'm doing these here at the top. Little hand lettering. Look at me. Ooh, this was cool. When I was flipping through this and prepping up as I was, taping over some names and some information here, I remember doing this and really liking it. It took a while to do because I was really had to think about what I was doing. I probably got some influence from somewhere else to make this happen. But I love the way this looks on the page. It's very cool and carried a little bit over here. Just trying to switch things up a little bit. Quick overview. Try to do a one-pager here. Did I succeed? Yes, I did. Somehow kept everything to one page. March overview, brought back that tracker again and used it a bit more. I made it at least till Thursday this time. That's always good. This is fun. I've had this stamp for a really long time. It's a big old block stamp that we used to use for mixed media design that my wife and I used to do. So I'm bringing it back into my journal. Big dates on the sides here, not really overviews, and then just kind of chaotic mess of things. I don't even know what this is. Oh my goodness. Oh, look at this one. I remember this. I forget where I saw the umbrella online, but I wanted to include it in my journal. And I was using, I'm assuming watercolor. Maybe this is a brush pen. I think this is one of my Kelly Creates brush pens, metallic. So it looks really cool. I like the way that it looks. The vibe is great. Having these little umbrellas kind of fall down the page during the separator gives a little bit of interest. But again, super productive and great things happening. All right, a bunch of interviews that happened over top of here. Oh, look at me with my Animal Crossing friends list. So we are in June now. It's funny. I was going back through this around the March timeframe, right, is when the pandemic started. And I don't think that we thought it was going to last as long as it did for us. I have zero notes in here or anything, but I remember being at home and Animal Crossing came out, and I think the entire world basically was addicted to it. So all of my friends on Instagram, I remember us creating a chat for it, and I just made a real quick collection page. Who's who? What's their island? What fruit did they have? And this was just really fun. I tried to make it look like the boarding pass when you went to your friend's island. So I like the way this looks. This is super fun. Getting colorful with our weekly spreads here, just adding some colored drop shadows, some fun trackers. I do like doing trackers. It's just, what am I doing it for? Sleep, stretching, just because probably I was sitting in a seat all day long. It was something I was really concerned about. And I did it till Friday, so that was always pretty good. All right, some more weekly overviews. Don't know what this is, some type of paint or something I was doing. From a minimalistic standpoint, like this weekly spread, it works out really well. Just each day has its overview. It's kind of blocked off horizontally here, just on the tops and bottoms with some space. And then I think I just went over it with some watercolor, it looks like, or something like that to add a little bit of interest to the page. But honestly, I think it would look a lot more interesting without all the dots and all the extra stuff on there. Wow, what is this one? This is crazy. Okay, so this is April. Oh, these were all the teams that I were on. So this was a way for me to keep track of all the projects and what was due in each one of those and remain focused. I actually might bring this back. I need to jot a note down somewhere. This was helpful. I do remember that. Then I did my overview over here. So it looks like I split my page in half. So the first half I broke into two, and then the bottom half was kind of the full half. I like this one. I need to get back into this. Notes across the bottom. This is pretty cool. I like this one. Real quick overview. Not a lot going on that week, it looks like. Probably thought I was going to have a lot more notes than I did. That's so interesting. Sleep tracker, water tracker over here. I like that. Just didn't use it. All right. What do we got here? Got some gold dip pen over here for our headers. Steps. A little bit of washi tape in here, but that's the following week. So one pager. So interesting. Maybe this is my overview page and this is my notes page here. It has to be. I was so busy at this time in my life with stuff going on, work and all these different teams. There's no way. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is what it is. This is the overview. So Monday the 11th, Tuesday the 12th must have been what it was. So just overviews, little deals. things got less busy as the week went on. Fun overview page, just making little border boxes out of just little sketches, little 3D action happening here, task, and then daily notes over here. It's interesting going back into this and looking at things went from weekly overviews and just crazy into then trying to go into more of a daily approach. So I'm trying to think like, were a lot of notes happening at this time? Like what was going on in here that made me switch? But I don't really know. I think it was just things got busy. The previous week didn't quite work out for me, so I switched it to something new and then did dailies that entire week. Okay. I can guarantee that this page was done because it was probably like Tuesday. It was after Memorial Day weekend. I didn't have anything ready to go. So I just came in here with a pen, no ruler, no nothing, and just made this real quick. It looks super fun. I added some color to make it look interesting along with some of these dailies here, but yeah, this definitely, I can tell when I didn't spend a lot of time on something or I didn't actually plan for that week because it looks like that. All right, this is for class notes that I took. So just to show you, I like adding a little visual note taking inside of here. It helps me. I love these type of weeklies. These are super fun, but they get a little rowdy. So this has my calendar over here on the left-hand side. So everything gets captured, but there's only so much space in here. So luckily I didn't go too far over each one of these days to figure that out. PlannerCon 2020. Oh my goodness. This was supposed to be the first time that Nicole, Plans That Blossom, and I were going to meet face to face. We'd been doing the Doodle Challenge. We've been friends online for a while. PlannerCon was supposed to happen. I was invited to go and teach. The pandemic happened right as things were getting ready for this to make happen. We thought that things were going to calm down. They did not. So we ended up not going to California. So it all moved to online. So I got to learn about how to make the cool little doodles like Nicole does. Had all kinds of like little notes. Rachel from Planning Mindfully did a chat. So this was good. Ugh, I'm so mad that didn't happen. That would have been so cool to meet people. Some extra notes. Here's my first prototype of my cheat sheets that I do now in all of my journals. I don't know why I only have it horizontally, but this is when I started to think about creating these easily to figure out how my spreads worked out. Oh, wait a second. Is this because this can work either way? Maybe? I don't know. Interesting. It looks totally different now. All right, this is a fun weekly. Just doing a little fun lettering over top of these little banners here. Some dotted lines, little patterns going on. I like how this looks. That's a fun one. More notes. Try to get fancy by putting paper in my journal. That's interesting. I don't know that I necessarily love that, to be honest with you. That just looks kind of crappy to me, but that's my own personal opinion. This is a fun weekly. I have my days of the week across the top here. TW stands for this week. So what are the week's goals and things happening here? And then each day was just going down with notes for each daily that we had going on. It's pretty fun. Must have got some new pens or something. I try to do some lettering here. Big old stencils on here. I love when it has like big, bold letters and numbers on pages. I think it looks so good. Hey, July. What do we got here? I think this was the first time that I used acrylographs. I think this is when the acrylographs came out. I forget if I was on the design team. I probably was if I got them early. So I was trying them out, seeing how they worked. They worked very nicely. Yep, kept using them here. I can feel it on here. So this was a fun one. Just a big old weekly. I have one very similar to this inside of my square bullet journal, which I think comes up after this journal. It's the first time I tried that. But just creating big, bold spaces, trying to create some pattern trees, I guess those are inside of here. What did I add inside of here? Anytime I add a quote, it usually means something is going on. You cannot be lonely if you like the person you are alone with. So pandemic, probably reflecting on that, picking out a quote like this. Either I saw it or I looked it up. And this is just a good reflection. This week, overview, track the week over here. I think I got a new stamp, so I use that there. A lot of stuff in here. What was I doing inside of here? Animal Crossing? I don't know why. Is that me doing something there? Running, stretching, drinking water. A real quick little tracker. I think this is sleep and just a weekly overview. Yep. Okay, definitely had acrylographs. I use them all the time inside of here once I got them. So we have our overarching weekly. This is actually a spread that I did inside of my first bullet journal. It's a replica of this one here. So I do this every so often where I'm like, let's try this again to see how it works. So I did a similar type layout here with it using that. And yeah, I do this often. I will in no time at all open up a notebook and be like, I'm going to redo this page here. It's a very easy way to set up a weekly. All right. And then I think we are at the back of our book. Did a pen test back here. Stamp. So this was my setup for moving into my next journal. I do this every single journal. It's incredibly helpful. What's coming, what's going. So coming with me, all my one-on-ones, all of my meetings, these specific collections, and then what's going was my Animal Crossing friends list, Instagram tracker, notes, weekly schedule, non-direct. So went through all of this and did that. So that is the rest of this notebook here. Any fun surprises in the back? I don't think so. No. Dust, maybe.
I say this every single time that I do one of these. I love going through my old bullet journals. It is so much fun for me to take a look back, see what I was doing. And honestly, I get new inspiration from these as well. Like now I have a few more ideas on things that I can bring back that really worked well for me inside of the A5 notebook. Now that I'm switching to another A5 for 2023, it's kind of nuts. 3 years later, and here I am back inside of another A5 and just having a good time. I appreciate you as always hanging out with me. And if you want to check out the previous flip throughs that I've done, all of those will be down for you in the descriptions below. Of course, if you're a fan of Archer and Olive and you see all the types of crazy things I was able to do inside of this notebook, don't forget you can get a special discount on archerandolive.com. Just use my discount code MENWHOBullet10. That'll get you 10% off any of the notebooks that you want, whether it's a plain notebook or something extra fancy for you. I'll talk with you later on. Thanks so much for hanging out. Happy planning.